All right, sports fans, it's another Friday, which means it's another Q&A with Alan and Marshall. I'm Marshall Atkinson,
I'm Alan Howe with Easy Way.
and welcome to our little show. So we're going to have a really fun discussion today, and we're so happy you're going to join us. And hey, I want to give somebody a shout out, which is Cindy King. She says good morning. She said that like 15 minutes ago.
Exactly. While we were backstage, not even live, she's on there.
In our chat, she said hello. So thank you so much, Cindy, and I love your enthusiasm. Getting it in early,
That's right.
It's great. So anyway, if you're just joining us, thank you for coming in. We really want you to say hello and let us know where you're watching from and all of that jazz. So thank you so much for doing that. And also don't forget that this is a Q&A show, which means really we need your questions. That's how we operate, right? Yeah. So we need your comments, we need your questions, we need your thoughts. Any crazy thought that jumps into your noggin, we want to know what it is. So put that into the comments, and that way we can have a really fun show and be engaged and all that, right? Yep. So anyway, so I think that's going to be cool. And also, if you would, please share that you're watching. I think that would really help us out. So anyway, Alan, what's going on with you, man?
Well, of course, I'm home. You know, most of you might know I was supposed to be in Asia. That got due unforeseen circumstances that has gotten canceled. Appreciate everybody filling in for me during those times. So I've been trying to rearrange my schedule. I was on the road this week. Just been busy. It's an interesting time in our industry right now, Marshall. You know, some people are slow. Some people are going, yeah, it's slow as normal. It's a good break, but they're starting to really pick back up. And then one guy said, yeah, I haven't been slow since March of 2021.
Right.
So,
really?
Yeah. He said he has just been going all over the place.
Okay. Well, cool. We're glad to have you on here today. And for those who pay attention to our ads, you might notice that we're supposed to have Erich Campbell on today. Sorry, no Erich. So he unfortunately has the flu or some kind of bug or something, and didn't want to show his smiling face on our show while he's dealing with that. And frankly, I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to do that either. So we wish Erich all the best. And
absolutely.
We hope he gets better soon. And if he's watching right now, just know that hang in there, champ.
Absolutely.
So we will reschedule Erich at some later date that we don't know what it is.
And we've got to get him. We got to reschedule that because Erich.
Well, we've been wanting to have him on for a long time.
Forever. Such a great guy. And when it comes to embroidery and digitizing and market and personalization, he's the man.
He is the man. So anyway, so we wish Erich gets better soon. And so all that, right? So all right. So let's take care of that a little bit. And so Hurley just joined us. Hey, Hurley, good to see you. Chris from Saskatchewan, and appreciate you. And looks like Melissa just joined us. Good morning from stormy Kentucky.
Cave City, Kentucky.
That's right.
Be safe. I know they're getting lots of wind down there. There's been some tornadoes through Oklahoma and stuff. So be safe down there, people.
I know we had like crazy storms here in Arizona the other day. So, you know, it's one of these things where I think it's like the flu. I think it's going around.
It's kind of weird here in Michigan. You know, Marshall, you told me, you said I'm dressed. I look cold, and it's not cold out. It's in the 40s a little bit. But, you know, we went from ice storms and freezing till now it's melting, and it's kind of damp and chilly, and it's supposed to be another storm. So I don't know. It's just great. It's a lousy time to be here. I'm ready for spring.
Yeah.
I should live in Arizona.
You should. I believe would let you in. You might have to pass the entrance exam, you know, but
Exactly. Or Texas or Florida or something.
And speaking of Texas, Mark, our buddy Mark Soldonic's watching. He is doing some kind of Jeep thing with his wife in a cabin, and I don't know, some kind of crazy Jeep event. And so he was tuning in from the trails. So
thank you, Mark.
Thanks for doing that. Appreciate you. I guess you can get Wi-Fi in the middle of the woods. So, all right. So, what do you say we pay some bills and we'll come back with some stuff?
Let's do it.
All right. So let's here's our commercial. So thanks again for GSG for sponsoring us. We really appreciate you. Incredible. And here's a word from our awesome sponsor.
Absolutely.
GSG, the combination of over half a century of knowledge with industry-leading technology and the customer at the center of everything that we do. Graphic Solutions Group is a powerhouse distributor of traditional screen, sign, wide format digital printing, embroidery, and textile decorating. We are committed to our customers, providing support, educational, and consulting services. Your success is our success. We've seen these industries grow and change in our 70 years. One thing never changes: GSG's dedication providing the best products and services available. We've been around, we'll be around, from the highs and the lows, standing right here with you. GSG, the right products, right away.
Great, and thanks so much to GSG. So we got some more folks tuning in. So our pal Richard's here. He's got 6 to 8 inches of wet snow.
Yeah, it like I said, they're saying another one.
That's the heart attack stuff, right? The wet snow.
Super heavy. We'll see. We were supposed to get a bunch last week, and there's more ice than snow. So I don't know who to believe anymore.
Yeah, so
it's Michigan. It could be.
My son Jack, lives in Flagstaff.
Yep.
And this week they've gotten like 20 inches or some crazy amount of stuff, and all their classes are canceled, and he's like bogged down into his dorm room, and I'm sure he's loving it.
Yeah.
Ray's here. It's good seeing you, buddy.
Ray.
And Chris says Sony a -3. Time to get out the shorts and tank tops. That's how they think in Canada.
Way up there in Saskatchewan.
Charles is here. Good to see you. Good morning. Happy Friday. Okay. Good morning to you. Right. Cool. So wanted to share kind of some industry news to start off the show. And I think we want to talk about GSG Colorado first. So I wanted to share the map for these guys, right? So they're branching out. It's more than just Texas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're, they're branching Ohio. They just opened up, they had a facility there. They just expanded that, had their grand opening last week.
Yeah, big open house. You went to that, I think, didn't you?
I could not. I was not able to.
What was you went to one recently, didn't you?
No. I was supposed to, but remember, I was supposed to leave for Asia that day. And
that's right. I'm sorry. I'm so confused, as you know. I'm like
Mark Soldonic.
Like a puppy.
Mark Soldonic flew up for it, and these GSG branches are not just small little sales offices. They stock everything from screen to digital to sign to substrate. It's always pretty impressive.
Yeah, and they've got a new one in Denver.
And Denver, Colorado, and that's becoming important because of the next announcement.
So let's talk about GSG.
So if you look all the way up and down the Mississippi and where they're at in Ohio, and then now in Denver, this is big.
Yeah, so if you're a Colorado, if you're kind of in the Rockies there, that you should give them a call. So,
well, that would put them 1-2 days away from most of the country.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So right up the middle, I'm sure they can help you guys. And so the next kind of thing we wanted to talk about, let's go back to our thing, is big news, and you may have seen it everywhere, is that Grimco is going to be selling rock equipment. So we kind of wanted just to tell everybody that, just, it's an interesting thing. And so kind of wanted to share the news with that, just because I think it's kind of relevant for a lot of people.
And here's the interesting part. Grimco is a massive, massive straight sign dealership, and they just got into the screen market when they acquired Midwest Sign and Screen, who was an M&R dealer.
Yeah.
And they've done stuff in some branches, but not everywhere Grimco goes. Grimco operates differently.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how for M&R, this affects them. I don't think a lot, because they're monster dealers and their powerhouse of partners like GSG will just slip right in.
Yeah.
So if you're an M&R customer from Grimco, fear not. GSG, there you go.
Yeah, right. So it could be a big opportunity for GSG to pick up more clients, right? So,
and there's a lot of
that's why we wanted to show the map, right?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Anyway, so big news there. You'll see it everywhere. It's you can't escape it, So,
and it is interesting. Grimco is a completely different animal, run different than Midwest than Screen is used to. Rock USA is running different, so it'll be interesting. Things are changing.
Yep. So, and speaking of M&R, our pal Peter's here. Good morning.
Peter, how you doing?
Good to see you. And
M&R has dealers, and not just GSG, but they have stuff in Colorado and all around.
Yeah. So Charles says Grimco is a good supplier in the sign world. I'm sure they'll be a good with Screen too.
It's a little different. The way sign companies operate and screen companies operate, it's a little different. So we'll see.
Right. Yeah. All right. So Ray says the map shows a couple of lonely spots. Next dealership somewhere northeast of Oklahoma.
Oh, for GSG?
Yeah.
Well, they got two in Oklahoma.
Right. And Peter says M&R announced a U.S. equipment distribution agreement with Tube Light Denko across their 18 locations.
Wow. Okay. This gets weird, because Tube Light Denko, nice job, Peter. Tube Light Denko was a rock dealership. They had an agreement with them.
So what is it, like musical chairs? Is that what the deal is?
A little bit.
Well, the price of poker got interesting, I think. So
get a program. You can't tell the names of the players without a program, man.
All right, here's his link. Can I access that?
Peter, how did we miss this? When did that happen?
I can't. Well, they didn't send me the press release.
Yeah.
So I didn't see that, right?
And
so
Charles says
Tube Light Denko is a workhorse dealer.
A while ago, but they were a rock dealer after that.
All right. Well, somebody needs to get on their PR. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. Way to go, Peter. So now it's like, and I guess this is the world we're in. Things change all the time. Right. And so M&R on the ball.
Yeah, well, happy for everybody, right? Happy for everybody.
And
so
you know what? Here's the thing, Tube Light Denko were two big sign dealers, and jumping back into the screen market. So anybody in the sign market and digital that says screen printing's dead, this is showing it. It's not.
I don't think screen printing will ever be dead, right?
Never. I've heard this my whole career. Never going to happen.
Yeah. So we're still going to have it. It's still going to be around.
Yep.
It's still applicable for so many different applications. I just think anybody, they see the growth of digital, and then it's the nail in the coffin.
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
And, I don't think so.
Nope, not at all.
Um, now, if you're a digital person, right, all you think is digital, right? That's maybe how you're looking at things, right? So,
Right. And things happen, in the industry. This is, as we said, Peter just said too, lots going on in the industry. Martin Supply was bought out of Baltimore not long ago. So, yeah.
Right. So, screen printing is growing, all caps.
Yeah. And that industrial and industrial electronic and medical going big.
Yep. Cool. So, hey, let's get to the first topic. Do you remember what it was?
No.
It's this one. Daily habits equal success. So I'm finishing up my blog for tomorrow, and it's about daily habits. So I thought this would be it's on the top of my mind.
Right.
So I thought it'd be kind of a fun thing to get into. And I know from talking with 800 million successful people over the years, most of the people that have success are very habit-driven people.
Yep.
Right? They do things the same way all the time. And it's been said, you are what you do, kind of a thing, right? So, and so your daily habits, what are those? For the ones for your business, what are those? Like, you are what you repeatedly do. Those are habits, right? So, and if we look at what we do as people or what we do as companies, I think a lot of the habits that we bring to that are going to equal our success, right? And so when I go to companies, when I walk their floor, when you look around, you see stuff that's not returned to where it's supposed to be, or ink buckets that are just so gross you don't want to touch them. That shows up in other places.
Yep.
Right. And if you think about how we do things, how we monitor our success, our daily habits, really kind of translate into what we do and how successful we are with people. Because what you hear a lot of times is there isn't enough time to do stuff.
Right.
Well, there is enough time because there are people who are better at things because of their habits. And I think it's kind of what we bring to the table a lot, right?
Yeah.
So,
you know what's the old saying? And I've always said it is we make time for the things that are important to us.
Yeah. Right. You make time for the things that you love. Right.
Yep.
So like if you want a clean shop,
yep,
you keep it clean. You don't wait till it's crazy ass dirty and then take 3 hours to clean it. You just keep it clean all the time.
Right.
And one of the things I've always thought was when I go to places like, what do these people's home kitchens look like? Can you imagine what's in the sink?
Yeah. So how much translate from your personal habits, daily habits, to your professional? So I first thing I do when I get up is I make my bed.
Yeah, right.
It's made. It's just a habit I'm into, and you do it.
It starts the day, right?
Yep.
And if you just clean up behind yourself,
yep.
It doesn't take that much extra time to do stuff, right? And so, like, one of the things that I do, let's just talk about habits, is I like to prepare for tomorrow today.
Yep.
Right. And so I'll, so what am I doing? I'm scheduling things. I'm writing things down. I got to make a phone call. I got to send something in, whatever I got to do. I'm building a little to-do list, or I'm really focused on what I'm doing. I'm getting prepared. So when tomorrow happens, I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for production, the habit is the fact that we're getting the scavenger hunt done today for tomorrow's production. So if you don't know what you're printing or you're embroidering or whatever you're doing, if you don't know what you're doing today, right? Mm-hmm. If you come in the morning and that's when you decide what you're printing, it could be an hour or two into the day before your first job gets started, right? And then that carries over to other things. And this is a lot of times, this is why jobs don't go out on time, or we're late for things, or there's a lot of frustration in the shop, is because people are constantly looking for things. We're looking for screens to be burned. We're looking for ink to be mixed. We're looking for whatever.
Right.
And it's because we're not prepared like we used to be. Right. So there's a thing called the theory of constraints. Have you ever heard of that, Alan? I think you probably have, right? Yep. Which the theory of constraints says that you can only move as fast as your slowest part of your process, right? So I would argue that getting prepared and having really good habits helps you foster being more effective with your time. And that carries over into having more productivity with your company and your business, which channels that success. So, so I know you're no longer, you're not like a production guy, you're in sales, right? So can you give me an example or two of some habit that you have that sets you up for success that that maybe other salespeople don't do?
Yeah, there are two things I just thought of. And one, my first habits, now they're different when I'm at home working and I'm on the road. And actually they're kind of the same. When I'm on the road, my schedule is usually set already, but I still have so many phone calls I need to make or people I need to get back to. And I'm still a list guy like you. It's a notepad, it's a list. And when I write these down, when I write things out of what to do, what I have to do, and my list, some people go, here's my personal, here's my professional list. No, when I'm on the road, I still have to. It's just me. If I have to call this customer, this dealer, this manufacturer, but I still have to call a doctor or something like that. I still have to do all that stuff. And it's all on my list.
On your list. There's a checklist.
I have that. I have my appointments set, but then I have my list of in between appointments. Let's cold call here. Let's do this. Let's call this person. Let's follow up on this. So a list is huge for me. So for new sales guys, there's no just running in the windshield time, burning gas and hoping. If you don't have a plan, don't move. Have a plan, do something. If you're moving without a plan, you're wasting time and burning energy.
Yeah.
So here's the other thing on the law of constraint I thought of. How about on automatics? That automatic is only as fast. I don't care about your ink. Your squeegee speed is your slowest flash. That slowest flash time is controlling your whole press. So I was at a shop that they had a brand new Cobra, but in their other presses, they had an infrared flash on an automatic and a quartz on the other side. Why would you do that? That infrared flash, will it work? Yes. That is going to be so slow, it just slows down the whole thing.
Yeah, well, they have that because of flash units, $3,000 to $6,000, depending on where you bought it from and new or used or whatever, right? So they're making do with what they have, right? So think about the output, right? And then also, how can you reduce your flash time? Or maybe you go up and screen mesh count, so it's a thinner deposit of ink, right? And because all your flash is just about gelling that ink. It isn't about curing the ink, right? We just want it so it doesn't pick up when we touch it, right? So like if you put a thinner deposit down, which you can get with higher mesh or higher tension or, whatever, then you don't have to flash it as long and your yield is going to be higher because your dwell time on that flash unit is less.
But I think the time lost would pay for the quartz flash in no time. Very easily. Now, the other thing, Marshall, you've talked about this too. When they are double hitting every color, and they don't have to.
Well, not just double hitting every color. I've seen people index the whole thing around for another go. Right?
Yeah, there's your time.
What are you doing?
Yep.
right? And I was at this one shop. It was in Michigan, by the way.
Oh, I know which one it was.
Michiganders.
Yeah.
And it took them almost 7 minutes to print one shirt on an auto.
Yep, I know that shop. Not
It was
good.
like, oh my, you're killing me, people.
Yep.
You're kidding. I'm like, why are you doing it this way? Yeah, it's like, oh, this is the way I was taught.
You were taught wrong.
Yeah, well, we won't call out names, but
How about daily habits? Or, and daily habits can be weekly habits too. How about learning something new every week?
well, good point. Okay, so let's talk about how I spend my lunch. Every day when I'm eating my lunch, I take an hour lunch.
Yeah.
I've got a book to read, and while I'm munching on my sandwich, I'm reading.
Yep.
And here's in fact where there's I'll show you the book I'm currently reading right here. It's awesome, by the way. It's The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin, who's a music producer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And I bought this on Amazon used for like $6 or whatever it was. It's a fantastic book on the creative process. It's not so much about music. It's just about being creative. And I'm really enjoying it. And it's great. And I'm about halfway through. I'll probably finish it probably today or tomorrow.
Right.
But, it's just one of these things where, I'm a big believer in getting new information injected into your head, right? And the only way to do that is to expose yourself to different ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that, through books, reading magazine articles, talking with people, and talking about different ideas. How do we do things? What's interesting? And also spending time goofing around with stuff. So lately, what have I been working on? Using Chat GPT, using Midjourney. I've probably this week alone, I've probably spent 6 to 8 hours using Midjourney, just like how like for artwork. How can anybody use this tool? I want to understand it. Right. And so I've been playing around with it, and it's just fascinating. Okay. So that's a habit that I have, I think, is constantly learning and playing with things. And, just how can I use this tool, or how can somebody use this tool? Mm-hmm. These are habits that show up later when you know stuff that other people don't.
Right.
And by reading or by exposing myself to different ideas, this is how I stay on top of things. I'm not saying I'm the best. There's other people that are probably way better at a lot of things, right? But this allows me to be part of that conversation and really understand things because you've got that experience, right?
Sure.
And so anyway, just by constantly talking with folks, you learn things. And I think this is the value of going to trade shows. We got a bunch of trade shows coming up, and then going to those networking events, right? So anybody right now, you've got the GPX Pro show coming up in Irving. You got Atlantic City coming up.
Yep.
If you're going to those shows, I challenge you to get out of your bubble and have breakfast, lunch, dinner, meals with people you don't know.
I'm going to be in Atlantic City. You want to meet for breakfast? Give me a ring.
Yeah, just
let's go.
So you either to talk shop or just meet people.
Just hang out.
Right?
Yep.
Just to hang out. Okay, whatever, right? And it's not that you have to buy them lunch or buy them anything. It's just that, hey, I want to meet people. I want to expand my circle. Okay.
Exactly.
And this is how learning happens. This is the greatest thing. When I do any of these trade shows, and Alan, this because I always have breakfast, lunch, dinner with different people.
Yep.
Every meal is somebody new. And
Marshall, when I first met you, I had a client that wanted to talk with you, and he says he's so busy, I can't get time. And I text you. I said, hold on, let me see what I can do. And I text you. Remember, you and I met
I was already like getting about to go to bed.
But we went down and got coffee at
Yeah.
IHOP or something like Steak and Shake in Indianapolis.
Yeah, whatever.
At like 11:30 at night.
Yeah. I'm like, let's go. Yep. I got dressed and left the hotel room and met you guys. And I think we were there for like 2 hours.
Yep. That's exactly it.
Well, that's the purpose of going to the show, is for me to meet people and to understand what's going on and to get something new out of it, right? Yep. And you can't do that from your office.
Yep, absolutely.
So I'm going to always take advantage of that if I can, right? And so anyway, so that's like a trade show habit, is always doing that, right? And it's always to ask, you know, and I have some standard questions I ask when I'm networking. You know, what one is, you know, what is your biggest challenge that you're working on lately? That always is a fantastic question to ask. And it could be like, you'll be surprised what the answer is, you know? Another great one is, you know, a lot of folks struggle with communication. So how are you solving that problem with technology these days? Like, and then a lot of people, you know, it's, they're using Slack or they're using whatever they're using. But they're always struggling with it because not everybody uses it the same way. So it fosters a lot of really interesting conversations about how we're getting things accomplished, you know.
Right.
And that's how I first learned about Asana, like years ago. You know, it's just because conversations you have standing there at a bar. Yep. Which, by the way, is one of my favorite places to be, is standing there at the bar, right? So, all right. So anyway, so daily habits foster success. And I would love to hear about y'all's habits.
Exactly.
Right? And what do you do to garner success? And if you feel you don't have good habits, a fantastic book to read, by the way, one of my favorites is Atomic Habits by James Clear. I always recommend that book. And I'm not sure, but I think that's where the 1% better every day thing came from, like forever ago. Right. Maybe it came from that book. I'm not sure, but it's really a great book. And he really teaches you how to get rid of the bad habit by replacing it with a good habit. And that's really a good book to read for that. All right. So let's get something set up here. 2 seconds. So we wanted to talk about on our little commercial today about GSG. And normally we've been showing the pulse. We're waiting on the apparel pulse, and most of you guys are apparel people, but they currently just have the sign thing. So we thought we would just show the website today and just show some things with it, right? So
they got some cool stuff on the website.
So here is the GSG website. Go GSG. You guys should go check this out. But one of the things that I don't think a lot of people know is the fact they actually, if you scroll down a little bit, they have blog articles.
Right.
And I clicked on this one today, right? I guess you got to click at the right spot. Read more, which is all about how temperature can impact your ink and emulsion. So it's a little bitty article here, and they've got, you know, some good, better, best about measuring temperature. Right. Paper strips, which I know your thoughts on that.
Despise them.
Infrared heat gun.
Not even be sold.
Okay, in a pinch. But this is what you need, is the donut probe, right? Absolutely. So if you're a serious screen printer, you better have one of these things.
Yep.
And this is how you map out your dryer. This is how you know you're really, and I would recommend, especially for talking habits, every Friday you're measuring your dryer.
Yep.
And you're charting the temperatures. And I like to use like a tic-tac-toe grid, zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, measuring the temperatures in each. You have a little logbook that you're comparing, and you should always have just about the same numbers, you know, and that way you know that you don't have a zone going out or a cold spot like you do on your grill, whatever. And I've actually done this work at some shops, and I was at this one shop once. The left side, I can't remember, the left side of the dryer, the right side of the dryer, it doesn't matter. It was 17 degrees colder, Alan, than the other side.
And depending, I've seen that on certain manufacturer dryers where it's actually warmer by where the furnace is.
Well, this was an old dryer. I mean, this thing looked like, I mean, how's that thing even still operational? It was so old.
Run by coal.
Yeah. Well, they had little miners back there with the shovels. You know?
Exactly.
But it's like one of these things where they didn't realize it. And I go, man, you guys are taking such a huge risk.
Right.
Because this is how like half the shirt is cured and the other half isn't, is because you're off that much.
Yep.
You know, so they got it straightened out and fixed. But, you know, they had a donut probe that was sitting in a box on a shelf with a pile of crap on it. Right. And I go, hey, do you guys have a donut probe? We got, yeah. You know where it is? No. And they had to like find it. And I go, well, here's how you use it. I taught them how to use it. And so I think it's really important. And this is again, habits, right? Yep. So just kind of want to throw that out there. Right.
Well, and I think too, the donut probe, aside from mapping the dryer out, Marshall, with all the new fabrics coming out with polyesters, low temperature, some things are unstable with rayon in them. Yep. You need to test on how you're printing them to know where that temperature's at, and keep it logged, because when that print comes up again or that fabric comes up again, you're going to want to know exactly what you did.
Yeah. And again, a donut probe is measuring the temperature of the ink as it's being cured going through the dryer.
Correct. Okay? All the way through the ink film.
Yeah. So this is really important. It's got, you know, the little wire crosshairs. That's what you put in the wet ink.
Yep.
And I think this is a really important thing. And of course, some modern dryers, like for example, the Sprint 3000 by M&R, has a port. You just plug the thing right into the dryer. You know. Yeah. So good job, M&R. All right. So we got some comments.
And Marshall, I think we need to put, as opposed to the temp gun, which does great, but that only measures the surface temperature.
It's a reflective. It's reflective temperature, right?
Yep. So I use those for checking flash, things like that.
Yeah. Ray says every time the humidity in the shop changes by more than 15%, your actual dryer temperature will change. Check it daily, in my opinion. That's good. Like that. And buy a thermograph. I don't know if I can pronounce it. Thermogrometer. I can't pronounce it, right? Good ones for $100. Like, look that up. Okay, Alan, you pronounce that.
Thermogrometer.
There you go. I have a cold and want to go home, but hey. Yeah.
John, we want to say our condolences on the loss of your brother. And I just saw the thing on your Facebook page. We had no idea, man. So my condolences.
All right, so we're on time here. Good, we're moving right through. All right, so next, if you want different results, do things differently.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this is obvious, but I think the reason why I wanted to talk about this is that so many people are in a rut.
What's the definition of insanity?
Is doing the same things over and over again and expect different results.
Exactly.
Okay? So many people are in a rut, and I talk to people all the time, and they don't have sales, or they got a problem with their print, or I don't know whatever it is. Okay. Right. And they go, okay, so explain to me what you've tried. What do you mean? Well, explain to me what you tried to, like, you know, not do it this way. It's like, we haven't tried anything. I go, well then, okay. Well then, how can you expect to have a different result if you haven't tried anything?
Right.
And so this is kind of, I think, the bane of a consultant, maybe. It's the fact that people just aren't doing different things, and they all want better. They all want a different result. Okay. But they're not interested in taking the action.
Right.
Right. That's where the new success lives. Over there, doing something different. You have to get out of that, right? You have to get out of the way you're doing it now. And just try some stuff and be willing to fail. It's not going to work. You're going to stub your toe. It's going to be awful, but you're going to learn something. right?
Right.
And that's what's really important here is you have to be able to do something differently to have a different result, whatever it is, you know? Give me an example, Alan, of something you weren't doing well with something and you just tried a different result. Doesn't matter if it's whatever. It could be fishing. It could be cooking. I don't care. Like you tried something and you got a different result, and now that's the way you do it.
Well, so when it comes, you mentioned fishing, and instantly said that, and it came right up to me. So in fishing, I use mostly all artificial. I don't use a lot of live bait, and we get our favorite lures we catch with and stuff like that. And we're all famous for just using the same thing, throwing it over and over and over the same way. Fish are different. It could be the change of color. It could be the same bait size. It could be speed. It could be a lot of things. And it could be you're running a spinner bait at the top of the water column and you need to be running a soft plastic on the bottom. And you just got to change things up of where they're at. It could be as simple as I'm using a 7-inch plastic worm where I need to be using a 4-inch. And that's all it takes in a fish's mind.
Yeah. Now translate that to sales.
It's the sales. Well, I've always done it this way, but I'm making no money and I'm not closing. What are you doing different? What is your approach? What are the obstacles? Are you not knocking them down ahead of time? Yeah. Are you making a plan? Are you realizing your best friend is the word no? Move on. Move on.
Yeah. So all we've done is email blasts.
Yeah.
Nobody's answering. I go, well, have you picked up the phone?
Yeah, exactly.
Did you go see them? Do something different. Like, don't just sit there, right? Find out what's working.
In sales too. How about with new salespeople? There's part of that where you have to learn, shut up. Listen. Don't talk. Let them tell you what the problem is.
Yeah.
So.
Right. I was shutting up and listening.
Yep, exactly.
All right. Where are we here? So Ray says, sorry for the typo.
Thermal hygrometer.
There you go. John says, thanks, Alan. We give a lot to cancer charity for a reason. I love telling people that I fail more than most people have even tried.
Yep, absolutely.
That's great. And Chris says, having a farm and a mechanic background, I have the tendency to fabricate tools to make a job easier than fighting with what the industry has to offer that doesn't work 100%. There you go. Yeah. And of course, Mr. High Density craziness over there. I'm sure he's invented some things or tried some things, So.
Well, we all know of the Stampinators and roller squeegees and stuff like that. How that was first done was coat a screen, expose it. There's no image in it. Get a stiff, your heaviest durometer squeegee, put it in there, put some clear ink, and that was your smoothing screen.
Yeah, right. Well, I know a shop, right, that used to print a lot of stuff for Abercrombie, and they had a bank of like 20 or 30 heat presses, and they would heat press every single shirt for Abercrombie to give that really smooth kind of thing. And this is way before any of those rollers or Stampinators or whatever. And they did that just for that finish.
Yep.
Right. And of course they got paid for that. Right. That was their big thing. And
now I'll tell you, I was judging the Impressions Expo, their whole screen print side of their Impressions prints. And I'm looking at a 4-color, like a simulated process, and it looks like a good print. It's smooth, and then it hit me. This thing's too smooth. And I bring out my loop and I'm looking, and I'm like, you ever look at something, Marshall, and go, tell me I'm not seeing what I'm seeing. So I called someone else who was, I'm not going to say who was a print guy. And I go, look at this. I go, and I just look at it. I go, tell me this dillweed did not put this shirt in there. And he hit it and he printed it, and it was rough, and he put it in the heat press. In a simulated process one, the guy looks, he goes, it's exactly what he did. Flattened it all out. I disqualified it right away. Because it showed he did a Band-Aid on a poor print.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did it look good for sale? Yes. But when you're in a show going up against other printers, you got DQ'd for lack of technical ability in a simulated process event.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Secrets.
The judges do know.
Right.
But I did. And actually, I didn't say dillweed. I said, tell me this asshole did not put that in this.
We don't use words like that.
Yeah.
Chris has failed multiple times, but also succeeded as well. What's the phrase? Got knocked down 9 times, got up 10.
Exactly it.
Right. So anyway, so what are you doing differently? What are you not happy with? Right. Or if you're not happy with something, whatever it is, you gotta change it. Right. So you got to do stuff differently, which goes back to that habit discussion. Right.
Absolutely.
Right. So last topic here is your 5 people. Right. So the reason I wanted to talk about this today was because I think a lot of folks are so insulated. They're so locked down in what they're doing. They don't surround themselves with people that can help them. Right. So it's been said that you're the average of the 5 people you hang around with the most. Right. So in this industry, right, or maybe even your personal life, right, who are the people who you're regularly talking to? Right? Who do you like? And hopefully they know more than you do. Right. So what's the thing, right? If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Right.
Absolutely.
So like, who are the people you're hanging around with and that type of stuff. Right. Yep. So how are you being exposed to new ideas, or do you have people who challenge you, who tell you like, no, that's okay, Alan, but I think you can do that better?
Sometimes you got to have these people that they're your friends with too, and just go, by the way, you're sucking it up real bad right now.
Yeah.
And just be straight up with you.
Mm-hmm. That's important. You have to, and as a company also, like, are you the boss that nobody can challenge? Can people speak truth to power?
Yeah.
Right. I can tell how many companies have failed because nobody could tell the boss he's not wearing any clothes.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
So you have to be able to say what's going on and what's on your mind. And if you don't have the psychological safety to say that, I think you're working at the wrong company.
Yeah. It's a tough deal.
We have to be able to say, you know what, that just doesn't make sense. I don't like that. And here's why, and not get in trouble. Right. So, but anyway, so you're 5 people, right? So I want you to think right now, if you're watching this, who are your 5 people that are in your corner that can challenge you, that can motivate you, that can inspire you, that you can learn from, right? Who are those folks for you? Right. And that that they got your back. Right. And so it's like one of these things where, I think getting these folks can really help you. And if you don't have 5 people, I know some folks, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That it would love to help you. Right. I'm one of them, would love to help you. Right.
So, and Marshall, this is sometimes not just 5 people in the industry. This is the part of, you and I have been told, we know everybody. We know a lot of people, but you know what? This is what I love about when we get together with people in the academy. There are people way smarter than me. And I don't say a whole lot there. I listen a lot. And these are people smarter than me. And I like being around people smarter than me. With me, it's not hard to.
Me either.
Yeah. And that's what I love about trade shows. I'm around other people, different views, what's going on, and we're talking.
Yeah.
But you got to have them every day in your life on there.
Right.
And, I have you, I have Richard, who you talk to a lot. I appreciate there are 2 of my 5, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important, right? And not just with business, right? But just
in life, yeah.
personal. And
Absolutely.
there earlier today or yesterday, I can't remember, but somebody asked me a question, and I didn't know the answer, but I knew who to ask.
Right.
Okay, and 11 minutes later, I had the answer, and this person goes, "Wow, you know everybody." It's just
Yeah.
like, but it's like it's one of these things where I've only been doing this since '93, right? I've got a lot of connections, and
I know a
usually I
guy.
can find the answer. I don't profess to know everything because
Right.
that's just ludicrous, but I know a lot of people that it's easy to send an email to. In a couple minutes, you have the right answer, and here you go,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And so I think that's important. Um, and a lot of people struggle with things, and they would rather not ask the question because they don't want anybody to know they don't know something. And
Yeah.
so they limp along with half-assed answers or not doing things the right way because they don't want to be vulnerable. And to me, that's always just like just such a
Yep.
bad move, right? So, hey, look who's here. Greg's here.
Speaking
Your
of a
big
guy,
team needs to be people from other industries who can ask you why you are doing something.
absolutely, 100%. And I know, Greg and other business owners will meet with their bankers and have people from other industries coming in
Yeah.
and going, so why do you do that?
Right. If you can't give a good answer, you need to learn why and fix it. Yeah.
Oh, very good.
And
Yeah.
Chris says a 4 and 5-year-old, and most of the ideas are unheard of awesomeness. Exactly. Well, this book I'm reading, Rick was talking about how as we get older, we lose the ability to play and pretend,
Right.
and because a lot of it has to do with the fact that other people will judge you.
Mm.
And which is so true. We hold back because people are going to think that's silly or that's a dumb idea. When in reality, if you just do it, you just launch into it with the what's the phrase, with the stance of a 5-year-old wearing a Batman mask, right?
Yeah.
Just
Total
go,
abandonment. Yeah.
right? You'll be so much better, right?
Yep.
So, Ray says measuring streams while I listen. Damn, just broke one. Just another Monday.
It's part of what we do.
Yeah. Kids don't judge. Thanks, Chris. Yes, that's totally true. Right. So
Kids don't judge. They're always truthful.
So, and a lot of people can have a lot of influence on you, and they don't even have to be around. My father, by the way, he passed away when I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think he had just such a huge influence on me, just the way he thought and acted and did things, to this day, I emulate a lot of the things that he did. Right.
Sure.
And, he was really a non-judgmental guy. He was insanely punctual.
Ah.
Right. I get a lot of that from him,
Yeah.
where he was always prepared. He was always over prepared, and I've always kind of tried to emulate that.
Punctuality is something that is a quality that sometimes gets lost. And I was telling my nephew on it. He goes, yeah, but if you're a minute or two late, I said, no. I go, early is on time is late, and late should never happen.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yep.
So we're always, my son Jack will tell you, we're always early for everything.
Yeah. And you know what? When things come up, you're going to be late. You better be letting the person know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, things happen, right? But,
yep.
And it's not just showing up, being punctual. It's also assignments. It's also trying to map things out and what you got to do and how you work on your time management, right?
Absolutely.
So for me, I learned a lot from my dad because that's how he always worked, right? And he was really insanely successful, right? And
right.
But it's just how you pattern yourself after. These are why your 5 people matter. And I think so these are people, like, I can't have a conversation with him, but I know how he would behave and how he would act. And I think that has such a huge influence on me. I think that's where a lot of that comes from. Right. So,
yep, absolutely.
Greg says 5 minutes early is 10 minutes late.
Words from Eagle Scout. It's funny, Greg, you said that because the person I first heard that from is an Eagle Scout. So,
yeah, who was that?
Bill Smith from Saudi.
Oh, mm-hmm.
He was the first one I ever heard use the thing is that early is on time is late, and late should never happen.
Yeah, by the way, my father, Eagle Scout.
Yeah.
And I probably would have been an Eagle Scout. I was totally in Scouts doing my thing.
Yep.
And then when he passed away, I completely lost my entire passion for that, because that was my thing with my dad, and it was just too unbearable without him, And there's this funny story about him. He was from Tallahassee, Florida. And he went to the big national jamboree in California, rode the train the whole way. Yeah. And back when he was a scout, the big thing was trading patches. Right. And he is a master salesperson. Okay. Yeah. And he brought a whole big pile of patches. But one of the things he had was a pillowcase of sea urchins, dried sea urchins, which he passed off as porcupine eggs.
Oh, jeez.
And cleaned up, totally cleaned up at the National Jamboree. One of those things. But, I don't think one of the founding things of being a Boy Scout is being truthful, which he wasn't there. But, it's such a funny story. I love it, but anyway,
well, I think, the connection with being an Eagle Scout. And I was also told too, it's not so you used to be an Eagle Scout. No, once an Eagle Scout, you always are. You always are. But you know what? Talk about being around and going 1% better every day, of having people around you, pushing you and teaching you.
Yeah. Right. Well, he did everything. Like, he finished college in 3 years, and like his whole life was about that. He just always like, if I can be the best, I'm going to be the best. I'm always at the top.
Yep.
So anyway,
and people that are, very, very high end on their thinking and stuff seem to be Eagle Scouts. Mark Coudray was an Eagle Scout, wasn't he?
Yeah. Right. So, no surprise.
Yeah. Not surprised at all.
Yeah. So Chris says we have Cub Scouts in Canada. I was a proud member.
It's
and then when my son was, he did Scouts until he just lost interest in it. But we had a lot of really good times, and I was part of his. I was a Scout master in his Cub Scout troop, just to help out and volunteer and do stuff. But you can't want it more than your kid, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
We had a lot of fun. So, by the way, Adam says, time for a new hat, Alan.
Well, this is a Sandlot Sports hat. And
did they have a new hat to give you?
Well, that's up to him. I'll take a new hat, Adam. I had a different model one, but somehow...
Did they have one that'll fit your big head?
They have to be adjustable. So,
because you got the bucket head. I mean,
I do. It's a it's like fitting a hat on a jack-o'-lantern. But my other Sandlot Sports hat is somewhere in Manila, Philippines. I left it there. I don't know where it went.
Yeah, right.
So they're advertising.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they'll get a call soon.
Exactly.
All right. So I think we got a couple minutes left. So I'm going to shamelessly plug Shirt Lab. So we got a new Shirt Lab workshop coming up. And let me share that. So we're doing this is the wrong thing. What happened? It's not Chat GPT best practice. I didn't change the title. It's
okay. Yeah.
How to get, I didn't, you know what it is? I typed it and didn't hit save because I'm a dummy. Right. But on April the 6th, this is 100% free. We have Michelle Moxley Ruby. I need to change her thing. How how to get started using Art AI. So she's going to walk everybody through how to use Midjourney. I was talking about Midjourney earlier. I've had some amazing conversations with Michelle about this, and I think everybody needs to be a part of this movement, and it's not going away, folks. As you know, I'm an artist. I love to create art. It's lots of fun. I've made a lot of money doing it, and now something's out there that's better, that can do something in 30 seconds.
Yeah,
it's scary and fun, and it's just, I don't know what's happening with this, but it's going to be part of our lives. And as a person in this community, you need to learn how it works. You need how to maybe think about how you can use it in your business. You need to be playing around with it. And so Michelle has been investing an incredible amount of her time using it. Mm-hmm. So she wants to show the basics, and she's so kindly donating her time. And thank you so much for M&R for allowing her to be part of this thing. So it's going to be on April the 6th. You can go to Eventbrite. The thing is Shirt Lab Workshop, how to get started using Art AI. It's going to be April the 6th at 4:00, 100% free. Please sign up. I think it's going to be just an amazing thing. I can't wait to see what she's going to show.
It's going to be amazing. Yeah.
And you should sign up for it. We did one on Chat GPT best practices the other day. We had a lot of people sign up for that. It was really a lot of fun, which is totally different. It's artificial intelligence, but with words. This is, of course, images. So have you played around with this yet at all, Alan?
I have not. I've not played around with either of them, and I need to.
Well, I don't know what you're doing this weekend, but you should start. So Chat GPT, of course, is open AI, right? And if you have trouble getting in, sometimes it's locked up because everybody's using it. You can go beta.openai. Sorry, Brian, I'm sharing your tip. Or you can, like I do, you can go through a platform like Notion, which is free, which allows you to get into it also, right? So that's really fun. And Midjourney, the only way to get in is through their Discord channel. So you have to go to Discord.
Wow.
And then you find the Midjourney thing and then sign up that way. And then they have a newbie channel within their Discord thing that you can start playing around with. And I recommend just type in some wild, crazy thing and see what it pops out. That's how you learn.
Yeah.
2 weekends ago, I spent like 4 hours playing around with it, and it was so consuming, I forgot to eat lunch.
Yeah.
It was just like, it was crazy. And I posted the one photo of the 8 million I made, and it was a steampunk King Kong. So if you look on my Instagram, you can see that and it was like just amazing. It's amazing. I was playing around with it 2 days ago, and I was doing Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones was what I was asking it to recreate.
Right.
Totally blew me away. Just like, and I was just playing with the word prompts to see how it would come, what would come up, you know. And so anyway, so play around with that. If you remember Shirt Lab Tribe, I did we have a March Madness bracket, by the way, Alan. I expect you to join that.
Okay.
And March Madness bracket, and I needed some cover art, so I asked Midjourney for a flaming basketball on a black background. That's the cover art for the March Madness tourney for Shirt Lab. Awesome. So it took 30 whole seconds to create that. It just blows you away. So anyway, if you want to learn how to do it, you can play around, some best practices and other thoughts. April the 6th, 4 p.m. Eastern. You can learn all about it with Michelle. And Charles says that's going to be an interesting workshop. 100%. Get signed up. So And Chris also says he'll send you a new hat.
Oh, I would love to have one, Chris. And just so you know, Adam,
He is a medium husky head.
Exactly. It's a petite large. Petite XL.
Large?
Petite XL.
Medium. Did you used to wear Husky brand jeans when you were a kid? Remember that?
I didn't know. When I was a kid, I was thin.
Granimals?
Granimals I was too old for when they came out. But
I used to just blow through jeans all the time, especially the knees.
Yeah.
I was the kid that always had patches on their knees.
Oh, we had patches all the time.
And because all we did when I was like, I think from 7 till maybe 10 years old, is all we did was play tackle football in the front yard.
Yeah.
And just that's all we did. And none of my jeans ever had knees.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we were from the age that our parents just weren't going to buy jeans all the time. Ours were always Levi's usually, because they lasted longer. And if you blew a knee out, then mom was ironing a patch on it.
Yeah, ironing patch.
It may or may not. Yeah, it may or may not.
All of my brothers got to wear all of my old clothes.
Yeah. So my one brother was saying, "You never got hand-me-downs. You were the oldest." I go, "Bull, I got my cousin Doug's hand-me-downs." Yeah, all the time. So,
all right, man. Hey, good show today. So, guys, thank you so much. Alan, where are you going to be next week?
Next week, I actually, so just so you know, Adam McCauley did text me and said he has a couple new hats for me. So it looks like I'm going to go up to Saginaw next week.
Great. Awesome.
I'm going to be around the Michigan area. I got some other things I got to do.
Yeah. Well, I'll be here, and my next trip I'll be in Atlanta later this month. But I'll be here.
Then I'll be at Atlantic City.
Yeah, Atlantic City. So same week. So
easy way. We'll have
that show because of my Atlanta trip.
What's that?
I said I'm missing the Atlanta City trip because I'll be in Atlanta. So.
Okay.
All right. And Chris says Lee jeans used to be the only ones with staying up on the farm.
Yep.
And great shows until next week. So, all right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you, and we'll see you next week. And we want to wish Erich Campbell all the best, and we'll reschedule his appearance here because we've only been trying to get him on the show for a year. We'll get that rescheduled sometime soon, and we'll let you know what's up. So
absolutely.
Take care, everyone. Have a good
great week, everyone. Be safe.
Bye.